Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the USDA Forest Service and our partners here, I want to say thank you for coming and showing up. You know, we are really honored to have this distinguished guest of leaders with us. We have Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. It's so great to see you here. Thank you for being here. We have Congressman Aguilar. We have Senator Padilla. We have the Governor of California, Governor Newsom. We also have USDA Secretary Vilsack. So, you know, they're here to learn about what's going on here in California. And what's happening here in California, quite frankly, are the same things that's happening all across the West. So they're here today to learn about not only the fires that are taking place, they're also here to learn about the outlook for the year 2022. And I want to just acknowledge that while you're going to be looking at communities on a map, I want to remind you that these are real communities that we're talking about, and these are real people that are being impacted by these fires. And it only takes one visit to see the impacts, the devastating impacts on our communities. So let me say, before we also get started, I want to thank all of our firefighters. I also want to thank the firefighters' families for the commitment and the dedication and the passion that they have for the job that they do. I also want to thank our partners, because no one entity can do this alone. And what you will see here today is that this is a shared stewardship effort, this shared leadership, and it's a level of commitment that you just simply will not find in many other professions. So with that, I want to now turn this over to some of our leaders who's going to give you an overview of what's going on today. And the first person that I'll turn this over to is Tony Scardina. Tony is the Deputy Regional Forester for USDA Forest Service located here in California. And so Tony, I'll call you up to maybe do the first presentation.
All right, thank you, Chief. So I'm with my counterpart here, Wade Crowfoot, with the California Resource Agency. So what Wade and I are going to do is just kind of paint a picture. When we talk about a wildfire crisis, what does that really mean? And so I'm going to talk about what's happened the past 2 years, and Wade's going to be talking about what are we going to do about it? How do we deal with this challenge? So, you know, just this map right here, you look at it and you say, okay, fires. Fires are a part of California's landscape. It'll always be there, but what's different? So when you look at this map, the yellow on this map is from 2000 to 2019, a 20-year period. And in that period, that's 12 million acres that burned. The past 2 years in California, 7 million acres. So 7 million acres in 2 years versus 12 million across a 20-year period. So we talk about the acceleration of fire behavior related to drought, related to climate change, and then dealing with how do we help communities in that wildland-urban interface. When you look at the drought conditions, record drought conditions, as we approached the August in 2020, it wasn't quite as extreme. But what happened here? Extreme weather events. So in mid-August of 2020, we had a situation where it was really a historic event from the southern border of California all the way to British Columbia. In roughly 48 hours, 15,000 lightning strikes and 600 fire starts at one period of time. How many firefighters would it take to put all those fires out? So firefighters are triaging a situation, doing the best with what they have, but of course you're not going to be able to catch that many fires. As the weeks beyond that kind of went on, then we started getting into record conditions. We had a fire called the North Complex around the Plumas County area. In one night ran 30 miles and 200,000 acres overnight. Fires don't typically move at night like they do during the daytime, but with the drought conditions, with the warmer temperatures, that's also what we're seeing, is they don't differentiate night and day. Then look into 2021. Most of the state in extreme, exceptional drought condition, and we see that across the West, so that as the western states start to have fires as well as California, resources are strained. You know, firefighting resources across the country are really in triage scenarios, doing everything we can to combat that. And then during that time period, four out of 5 of the largest fires in California are the past 2 years. One of them over 1 million acres, the August complex. That is the largest fire in California history. That's a complex meaning multiple lightning strikes that then come together. And then you have the Dixie Fire this year, which is the largest single fire from one point of start. Then two fires, the Dixie Fire and the Caldor Fire, the first to crest over the Sierra Nevada range. So a lot of firsts in a 2-year period, I think, kind of paints the picture of what we mean by a crisis. And we're really going to have to get ahead of it with treatments across the landscape and examples that Wade's going to talk about what we're doing to collaborate in California to deal with this crisis.
Yeah, so clearly conditions are getting worse, and let's be honest, climate change means they're going to continue to get worse. The good news is that our interventions are getting better. That of course includes response, more firefighters, more helicopters, planes, technology like these drones. And it also includes more proactive upfront actions to build wildfire resilience. So what do we mean when we're talking about wildfire resilience? We're talking about actions within communities to help residents harden their homes, build defensible space. Actions around communities, creating these fuel breaks that thin the forest or woods around communities, slow down fire and let firefighters take a stand. And then actions across forests and our landscapes to restore forest health and to ensure that small fires stay small and don't get big and catastrophic. The good news is that these interventions are working. During this last fire season, which was so horrific, one of the worst fires, the Caldor Fire, so bad it crested the Sierra Nevada summit, was actually fought by heroic firefighting aided by these fuel breaks. Fuel breaks that were put in around South Lake Tahoe and Pollock Pines allowed those firefighters to take that heroic stand and to help save those communities. So this is working. Now all this work is, the foundation of all this work is a shared stewardship agreement that Governor Newsom signed with the U.S. Forest Service, making shared commitments, including 1 million acres of project, this type of vegetation management project, every year. We followed up on that with a shared action plan, this partnership, to specifically focus on what are the actions that are going to actually protect Californians. And let's hold ourselves accountable. And then in order to implement this, we've established a task force. Again, a joint task force chaired by myself and our regional forester, Jen Eberlein, to focus like a laser on getting this work done. Now the good news is, as we meet here today, hundreds of projects like the ones I've mentioned are taking place across California. Our state government will spend $1 billion plus this year on this type of wildfire resilience work. Your leadership, Vice President, your leadership, Secretary Vilsack, and the resources that you're bringing into California are critical to allow us to scale up this work. So while we respond to those fires that are going to come, we do more before those fires ever start to protect California.
Great. Over. Any questions? Any questions from anyone?
Okay, we can go to the next group.
Let me tell you a little bit about what we're preparing for in 2022 fire season. You just heard that we are in exceptional drought the past 2 years, and although we're so thankful for the rain and the snow that we got in December and January here, we're not out of the woods in terms of drought. You can see on this that certainly in January 21 it was worse with the red. A little better this year, but we're still well under normal moisture counts for this time of the year. So we'll be monitoring that as we go through the year, using that information to help us prep for this upcoming fire season. Because we really anticipate having the same conditions as last year, we are going to be taking a very aggressive initial attack stance and posture this year. Being able to get those fires out as fast as possible at the smallest acreage is one of our best strategies around firefighting. To do that, we're increasing our firefighting capacity and our staffing. And thanking you for your support on fire pay for our firefighters. Certainly with the support from Congress with the infrastructure bill, we've been able to hire more people this year than we have over the past 5 years. So we're really looking forward to strengthening our resources that way. We certainly have our complement of aircraft and engines and hotshot crews that are housed here in this facility. So we have all those traditional methods, but we're really paying attention to technology as well. As you had mentioned, satellite imaging, certainly drones, and we're really getting and improving our fire behavior modeling It's beyond anything that we've experienced these past 2 years, so we are getting better at that fire behavior modeling, and we'll use that along with the traditional resources. So certainly not only the hiring, staffing, we're really looking at employee welfare. You know, we've got a long way to go, no doubt about it. But having that extra staffing is going to help us with work schedules, help us with managing people's time. We also increased our rest rotation period. So we have a longer time before we have firefighters have fire assignments, so they have a little rest and recovery before they go back out again. And then also we've really increased our mental and emotional services for our firefighters. It's so tough. It is one of the hardest jobs that we have out there, and the emotional, the physical, the mental toll, it's just there. So we're really looking at increasing those services throughout the year and not only within the firefighting season. So those are some of the things we're actively working on for this year. And as we said, we cannot do this alone. And our key partner here with us is CAL FIRE. So I'm going to turn it over to Chief of Southern Operations, Mike Richwine.
Madam Vice President, as you know, firefighting in California is a collaborative effort. And this time every year, there are extensive meetings and planning sessions that occur with our cooperating agencies, such as the Forest Service, state and local fire departments. We are so grateful for the partnership that we have with the U.S. Forest Service to help us meet our common goals. And as the Secretary mentioned, I want to amplify that right now, our crews are out doing fuel breaks around communities throughout the state. And they're built, and we're having great success, and they create a buffer, a green space or a thin forest space before the communities to slow the fire, to allow our firefighters to have a chance to put the fires out. And also, we have an extensive program that we're beginning to assist homeowners with efforts to harden their homes. And through Governor Newsom's leadership, we're in partnership with the OES. We have established a joint powers agreement, and we have picked out 3 pilot programs now where we can help disadvantaged communities replace their wood-shake roofs, replace their windows, put metal screens on their attic eaves, so it will prevent ember intrusion into their home and hopefully prevent their home from burning down in a wildfire. We are also